Mi rober en la ropa, ganadero. Suplica la mujer Apache que pide ayuda en el lago. Birds sang softly from the trees, and the gentle sound of water lapping against the shore created a peaceful atmosphere. Near the lake, a rancher was walking slowly, checking his cattle. He had been on the ranch for many years, and these mornings were usually calm and predictable. He knew the land well, the hills and the open fields, the paths through the woods and the quiet places by the lake. But this morning would be different. As he walked along the edge of the water, he noticed movement. At first he thought it was an animal, maybe a deer or a bird. But then he saw a figure, a woman, standing near the lake. She looked frightened. Her eyes were wide and she was waving her arms, calling out loudly. The rancher froze. He had never seen her before. "Please help me. I need help," the woman cried. Her voice was a mixture of Spanish and another language he did not fully understand. Her words were rushed, filled with fear, and her body shook. The rancher's heart skipped a beat. It was clear that she was in trouble. He walked closer, keeping his distance at first to make sure he was not walking into danger. "Are you okay? What happened?" he asked in a calm voice, hoping to make her feel safe. The woman looked at him, her face wet with tears, her clothes disheveled. She took a shaky breath and spoke again. They took my clothes. Please, I have nothing," she said, her voice breaking. She covered herself with her hands, looking embarrassed and frightened at the same time. The rancher felt a sudden rush of concern. He was not sure who they were, but it was clear the woman had been left alone and vulnerable. He could see the fear in her eyes. She was desperate for help. "Calm down," he said gently. "I will help you. Do you have anyone with you? Are you hurt?" The woman shook her head. "No, no one. They came and took everything. I was traveling alone. I don't know what to do. Please help me." Her voice trembled. She stepped closer to the water, her feet bare, shivering from the cold morning air. The rancher looked around, noting the empty landscape. There were no other people nearby. The lake was beautiful, calm, and quiet, but now it felt dangerous. He thought about the possible risks. Who had taken her clothes? Were they still nearby? Could they come back? Despite the uncertainty, he knew he could not leave her alone. She needed help, and he could not turn his back on someone in such a state of distress. He slowly approached her, keeping his hands visible to show he was not a threat. "It's okay. You are safe with me," he said. "We will figure this out together." The woman's shoulders relaxed slightly, though fear was still visible in her eyes. She stepped closer to him as if seeking protection. Her voice was soft when she spoke again. "I was walking near the hills yesterday. I saw some people, strangers. I thought they were friendly, but they took my bag, my clothes, everything. I ran, but they followed me. I hid near the trees, and then I came here." The rancher listened carefully. He could tell she was telling the truth. Her story made sense, and her fear was genuine. He could imagine how alone and scared she must have felt, running through the open land without anyone to help her. "You did the right thing by coming here," he said. "The lake is safe. I will help you get warm and find something to wear. Then we can figure out how to get your things back, or at least make sure you are safe." She nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done alone." Her voice was small, and she seemed exhausted from the ordeal. The rancher reached into his bag and took out a large blanket. He handed it to her, and she wrapped it around herself, holding it tightly. The fabric was warm and comforting, and for the first time in hours she seemed to calm down a little. "Can you walk?" the rancher asked. "I can take you somewhere safe," she nodded slowly. "Yes, I think I can, thank you. I don't know how to repay you." The rancher smiled gently. "You don't need to repay me, just be safe. That's enough." Together they began walking away from the water's edge. The woman stayed close to him, leaning on his presence for support. Her steps were careful, but she moved steadily. The rancher kept an eye on the surroundings, making sure no one else was around. As they walked, he tried to make conversation to keep her mind off the fear. "Where were you headed?" he asked. I was going to visit my family, she replied softly. They live across the hills. I travel alone sometimes, but now I think I need to be more careful. The rancher nodded. Traveling alone can be dangerous, but you were brave. You did the right thing by coming here. She smiled faintly through her tears. I was scared, but I had to try. Thank you for being here. The rancher could feel her gratitude. It made him feel responsible in a good way to help her. He realized that life sometimes puts people in unexpected situations, and kindness can make a big difference. They continued walking, and the sun climbed higher, warming the air. The lake reflected the light beautifully, making the water shine like silver. The peaceful scenery contrasted sharply with the fear and anxiety the woman had felt just moments ago. The rancher thought about how quickly life could change, how calm mornings could suddenly become full of challenges. As they moved further from the lake, the woman began to relax more. She talked about her family, her life in the village, and some of her experiences traveling. The rancher listened, learning about her culture, her traditions, and the hardships she had faced. He was impressed by her resilience. Even though she had been through a frightening situation, she spoke calmly about her past and her hopes for the future. They reached a safer path, away from the open water. The rancher suggested they rest for a few minutes. He found a spot near a group of trees where they could sit and catch their breath. The woman sat down, holding the blanket tightly around herself. I was really scared, she admitted quietly. I thought I might be lost forever, and then you came. You are safe now, the rancher reassured her. We will get through this together. For a few moments there was silence, broken only by the sound of birds and the gentle wind. The woman looked at the rancher with gratitude. I don't know how to thank you, she said again. The rancher shook his head. No need, just focus on staying safe and getting warm. That's all that matters right now. As they sat there, the rancher thought about the day ahead. He knew he had to help her recover her belongings if possible, but more importantly, he had to make sure she was safe and comfortable. He felt a sense of responsibility and also a quiet satisfaction in being able to help someone in need. The woman's fear slowly began to fade. Her body relaxed and her voice became steadier. She told the rancher about the paths she had taken, the people she had seen, and the moments she had felt the most afraid. The rancher listened carefully, offering advice and comfort. He could see that trust was beginning to grow between them. By the time they were ready to continue, the sun was fully up, casting bright light over the land. The morning had started peacefully, then filled with fear, and now it held hope. The rancher and the woman set off together, moving carefully through the fields and trees, ready to face the next part of the day, whatever it might bring. The lake, once a place of distress for the woman, now seemed like a distant memory. In its place was the promise of safety, human kindness, and the beginning of an unexpected friendship. After a short rest near the trees, the rancher and the woman continued walking along a narrow dirt path that led away from the lake. The morning sun was higher now, casting bright light across the fields and making the dew on the grass sparkle. The woman, still wrapped in the blanket the rancher had given her, walked cautiously, sometimes stumbling over rocks or roots. The rancher stayed close, guiding her gently and keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. She looked around nervously. I don't know if they will follow me, she said softly, glancing over her shoulder. But I am scared they might come back. The rancher nodded. It's possible. We need to stay alert and keep moving. If we stick together, we can stay safe. Did you see which direction they went? She shook her head. No, I ran as fast as I could. I was only thinking about getting away, not remembering where they went. The rancher considered this carefully. That's okay. The important thing is that you are safe now. We will worry about what happened later. As they walked, the woman began to talk quietly about her journey. She explained that she had been traveling from her village to a small settlement nearby, carrying only a few personal belongings. She had grown up learning how to survive in the hills and forests, but she had never encountered anyone who had tried to hurt her like this. She described her fear, how alone she had felt, and how she had hidden near the lake when she realized she had no other choice. The rancher listened carefully. He had met travelers before, but few had experienced fear as real and intense as hers. He admired her courage. Despite everything, she had managed to stay calm enough to find help. "You were very brave," he said. "Most people would have panicked. You kept going and found a way to stay safe." She looked down at her feet. "I don't feel brave. I was scared all the time. But maybe I had to be brave. I had no choice." They walked in silence for a few minutes, the only sounds being the crunch of their steps on the dirt path and the distant calls of birds. The rancher thought about how many dangers there could be in the hills: wild animals, rough terrain, or people who might not be kind. He realized that helping her was not only an act of kindness, but also a responsibility. "Do you have anyone in your village who can help you?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "Not really. My family lives far away. I thought I could make it on my own, but I was wrong. I didn't think anyone would come across me in time." The rancher felt a pang of sympathy. He could imagine how frightening it must have been to feel completely alone and vulnerable. "You are not alone now," he said. "I will help you get back to safety." As they walked, the woman noticed small changes in the landscape. She pointed out places she recognized, small hills and trees, and told the rancher about how she had used the natural signs to navigate. Her knowledge of the land impressed him. He realized that, despite her fear, she was resourceful and intelligent. After some time, they reached a small clearing where the sun shone brightly. The rancher suggested they rest again. "Let's sit for a few minutes," he said. "You have been through a lot and your body needs to recover." The woman sat down on a patch of soft grass, still holding the blanket tightly around her. She looked at the rancher with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you enough," she said. "I don't even know your name." The rancher smiled. "You can call me Miguel," he said. "And what is your name?" "I am Nayeli," she replied softly. "Thank you, Miguel. I feel safer with you." Miguel nodded. "Good, that's important. Now let's think about what we can do next. We need to find a safe place where you can rest properly, and then we can figure out how to recover your belongings or get help." Nayeli's eyes widened. "Do you really think we can get my things back?" she asked, hope and fear mixed in her voice. Miguel shrugged. "I don't know yet, but first, we need to focus on keeping you safe and getting you warm and fed. After that, we can plan the next step carefully." She nodded, looking relieved. For the first time in hours, she seemed to feel that there was a possibility of safety and help. They continued walking slowly. Miguel pointed out safe paths and warned her about unstable ground or hidden routes that could trip her. Nayeli followed his guidance closely, trusting his knowledge of the area. As they walked, she began to tell him small stories about her life, her family, the traditions of her people, and the skills she had learned growing up in the hills. Miguel listened attentively. He had never met anyone like Nayeli before, and he found her stories fascinating. They spoke of her courage, her ability to survive difficult situations, and her connection to the land. He felt a growing respect for her, realizing that she had faced challenges far beyond what he had imagined. As the sun climbed higher, the heat began to make the walk tiring. Miguel suggested they take a longer break under the shade of a large tree. They sat down, and he offered her some water from his canteen. She drank slowly, grateful for the small kindnesses that made her feel human again. "I don't even know how long I was out there," she said quietly. "It feels like forever. I was so scared I couldn't think clearly." Miguel nodded. "It's understandable. You were alone and you faced danger, but you made it through. You are stronger than you think." She smiled faintly, her eyes still showing traces of fear. "Maybe, I just want to feel safe again." "You will," Miguel assured her. "We will get there, I promise you." They rested for a while, letting the morning pass and the sunlight warm their bodies. Miguel asked Nayeli if she could remember any details about the people who had stolen her belongings. She thought carefully. They were wearing dark clothes, she said. I didn't see their faces clearly. I was too scared. But I think they were moving quickly and didn't expect me to run. Miguel considered this. It will be difficult to find them without more information, but we can still be careful and make sure they don't find you again. Nayeli nodded. Yes, that's the most important thing right now. After their break, they continued walking toward Miguel's ranch. The terrain became rougher, with hills and rocks making the path challenging. Miguel helped Nayeli over difficult sections, supporting her arm and making sure she did not fall. She appreciated his careful guidance and began to feel more confident with each step. As they walked, Nayeli shared more about her life and culture. She told Miguel about her family, her traditions, and the ways her people had survived in the hills for generations. Miguel listened with interest, learning about customs he had never known. He admired her pride in her heritage and the way she had preserved her knowledge despite living in a world that sometimes seemed hostile. By midday, they reached a small stream where they paused to drink and rest. The water was clear and cold, refreshing them after the long walk. Nayeli leaned down to take a drink and Miguel watched her carefully, making sure she did not slip. You are very careful, Nayeli said with a small smile. I can see why you are a good rancher. You know how to take care of people and animals. Miguel chuckled. It's part of the job, but today it's also about helping someone in need. That's more important than cattle or fields. She nodded, her smile growing. I feel lucky to have met you today. Miguel felt a warmth in his chest. He realized that helping Nayeli was not just about protecting her. It was also about connecting with another person, understanding her world, and showing compassion in a moment when it was most needed. They rested for a short time, then continued toward the ranch. The journey was long, but each step brought them closer to safety. Miguel remained vigilant, scanning the area for any signs of danger, while Nayeli began to walk with more confidence. The fear that had gripped her earlier was slowly giving way to trust and hope. As they neared the outskirts of the ranch, Miguel pointed toward a small house in the distance. We are almost there, he said. You can rest properly soon. You'll have food, water, and a safe place to stay. Nayeli's eyes brightened. Thank you, Miguel. I can't describe how much this means to me. Miguel smiled. You don't need to, just focus on getting there safely. With renewed energy, they continued the final stretch, the ranch growing larger and more welcoming with each step. Nayeli's fear had not disappeared entirely, but it was replaced by gratitude and the comfort of knowing that someone cared for her. By the time they reached the ranch, the sun was high in the sky, and the warmth of the day enveloped them. Miguel opened the gate, leading Nayeli inside. The familiar sight of the house and the ranch gave her a sense of relief she had not felt since the morning. She was safe, and the journey through fear and uncertainty had brought her to a place of security and hope. When Miguel and Nayeli reached the ranch, the first thing she noticed was the sense of order and calm that surrounded the place. The fences were sturdy, the fields well kept, and the sound of livestock added a gentle rhythm to the quiet afternoon. The house looked welcoming, with smoke curling from the chimney and the smell of freshly baked bread, or at least the faint scent of cooking, filling the air. Nayeli felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had been on edge all morning, but now she could finally relax. Miguel opened the front door and they stepped inside. The interior was modest but tidy, with wooden furniture and simple decorations that made the home feel warm. He gestured to a chair near the fireplace. Sit down. I will get you some food and water. You need to rest and regain your strength. Nayeli sank into the chair, her body exhausted from the long walk and the morning of fear. She wrapped the blanket tighter around herself, feeling the soft warmth against her skin. Thank you, she said quietly. I haven't eaten since yesterday. I'm so hungry and I was so thirsty. Miguel nodded and went to the kitchen. He filled a cup with water and brought a plate of simple food, bread, cheese, and some fresh fruit. He set them down in front of her. "Eat slowly. You need your energy." Naeli took a small bite, savoring the taste. It felt strange to eat after so many hours of stress and fear, but each bite brought a sense of comfort. She drank some water and smiled faintly at Miguel. "This is wonderful. I can't remember the last time I had a proper meal." Miguel smiled back. "Good, take your time. There's no rush. You need to feel safe and nourished first." As Naeli ate, she began to look around the house. The walls were decorated with simple paintings and photographs of the ranch, showing Miguel's family and the livestock. She noticed the care he had taken in maintaining his home, and it gave her a sense of stability she had not felt in hours. After she had eaten, Miguel suggested she rest further. He led her to a small room at the back of the house, with a comfortable bed and clean sheets. "You can rest here for a while," he said. "I will make sure everything is safe outside, and then we can talk about what to do next." Naeli nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Miguel. I feel safe here. That is a strange feeling after everything that happened." "Good," he replied. "You deserve to feel safe. Rest now, and we will plan together when you are ready." As she lay down on the bed, Naeli thought about the events of the morning. The fear, the confusion, the panic, all of it felt distant now that she was in a warm room with someone looking out for her. She closed her eyes and allowed herself to breathe deeply, letting her body relax for the first time since the ordeal began. Meanwhile, Miguel stepped outside to check on the ranch and the surrounding land. He moved carefully, scanning the fields and the edges of the property. He knew the area could be dangerous, but he also trusted that Naeli was now in a safe place. He thought about the people who had taken her belongings, wondering who they were and why they had targeted her. He made a mental note to involve the local authorities or tribal leaders if necessary, but for now, the priority was Naeli's comfort and recovery. After ensuring the ranch was secure, Miguel returned inside. Naeli was sitting on the bed, looking out the window at the sun glinting off the distant hills. She seemed calmer now, though there was still a hint of worry in her eyes. "You seem better," Miguel said gently. "How are you feeling?" "I am okay," she replied. "Still shaken, but better. The food and rest helped. I feel like I can think clearly again." "Good," Miguel said. "That is important. We need to plan the next steps carefully. First, we make sure you have clothes and are comfortable. Then, we figure out what to do about your belongings." Naeli nodded. "Yes, I think that is wise. I don't want to rush anything." Miguel handed her some spare clothes he had kept in the house for visitors or workers. They were clean and simple, but they would provide her with dignity and comfort. Naeli changed quickly, and when she came out, Miguel noticed the relief in her eyes. She smiled faintly. "Thank you. I feel human again." Miguel nodded. "Good, that is how it should be. You should never have felt exposed or vulnerable like that, but now we can make sure it doesn't happen again." They spent the next hour talking quietly. Miguel asked Naeli about the people who had taken her belongings, and she described them as best as she could. Although she had been too frightened to see their faces clearly, she remembered details about their clothing and how they moved. Miguel listened carefully, taking mental notes. "We will do what we can," he said. "But for now, the most important thing is that you are safe." "That is the first priority," Naeli smiled softly. "I appreciate that so much. I didn't know anyone could be this kind to a stranger." Miguel shrugged. "Kindness is not always common, but it does exist. You have to trust that there are people willing to help when it matters." As they continued to talk, the sun moved higher in the sky, filling the room with warm light. Naeli's fear began to fade further, replaced by a quiet sense of hope. She realized that although the morning had been frightening, it had led her to someone who cared about her well-being. Later, Miguel suggested they step outside for some fresh air. Naeli agreed, and together they walked into the yard. The breeze was gentle, and the smell of grass and animals filled the air. Miguel showed her around the ranch, pointing out areas where the livestock grazed, the fences, and small gardens that provided food for the family. Nayeli listened attentively, fascinated by the rhythm of ranch life. "You have a beautiful place," she said. "I can see why people feel safe here." Miguel smiled. "It takes work, but it is worth it. And now you are part of this space for a while. We will make sure you are comfortable and safe until we figure out the next steps." They walked slowly, enjoying the quiet afternoon. Miguel noticed that Nayeli's steps were more confident, her posture straighter, and her eyes brighter. He could tell that being in a safe, secure environment was helping her regain strength and courage. As they returned inside, Miguel suggested a plan for the next day. "Tomorrow, we will go through the paths you took and see if there is a chance to recover your belongings. We can ask the local authorities for help as well, but tonight we focus on rest and comfort." Nayeli nodded. "Yes, that sounds good. I feel like I can finally breathe again." That evening, Miguel prepared a simple meal for them both. They ate quietly, sharing small stories about their lives. Nayeli spoke of her family and village, her traditions and the skills she had learned while growing up. Miguel shared stories about the ranch, the animals, and the daily work it required. Through these stories, a bond formed between them, a quiet understanding and trust that grew from mutual respect and shared experience. After dinner, Nayeli thanked Miguel again. "I cannot believe how kind you have been. You helped me when I was alone and scared." "I will never forget this." Miguel shook his head. "You don't need to remember it as anything special. I did what anyone should do, help someone in need. But I am glad you are safe, and that is what matters." Nayeli smiled softly and felt a warmth in her heart. For the first time since the morning, she allowed herself to feel at ease. She realized that even in the most frightening situations, human kindness could shine through, offering hope and comfort. Later, as she lay down to sleep, Nayeli thought about the morning by the lake, the fear, the panic, and the feeling of being alone. And now she thought about the ranch, Miguel's kindness, and the warmth of the house. She felt a sense of gratitude she could not fully express in words. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the sounds of the ranch at night. Miguel checked the doors and windows, ensuring everything was secure. He looked at Nayeli's room, feeling a quiet sense of satisfaction that he had been able to help. He knew that the journey was not yet over, but he also knew that they had taken the most important steps, ensuring her safety, providing shelter, and giving her hope. And so the night passed quietly, the ranch a haven of calm and security. Nayeli slept more peacefully than she had in hours, and Miguel remained vigilant, ready to face whatever challenges the next day might bring. The events of the morning had tested both courage and trust, and now, in the quiet of the ranch, a bond had formed between a stranger in need and a man willing to help. It was a beginning, a promise of safety and support, and a reminder that even in difficult times, human compassion could make all the difference. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the ranch, casting long golden rays across the fields. Birds chirped cheerfully, and the soft rustling of leaves in the morning breeze filled the air. Nayeli woke early, feeling rested after a night of deep sleep, the first since her frightening ordeal by the lake. She looked around the cozy room, the blanket still draped over her shoulders, and felt a sense of calm. For the first time, she could think clearly and plan her next steps. Miguel had already been up, preparing a simple breakfast of eggs, bread, and fresh fruit. The aroma filled the kitchen, welcoming Nayeli as she entered. "Good morning," Miguel said with a smile. "Did you sleep well?" "I did," Nayeli replied, her voice soft but steady. "I feel stronger now. Thank you for everything you've done." Miguel nodded. "Good. Today we will begin to plan how to recover your belongings. But first, eat and regain your strength. You'll need it for the journey." Nayeli sat down at the table, and together they ate. As they ate, they discussed the events of the previous day. Nayeli explained in detail what she remembered about the strangers who had taken her clothes and belongings. She described their clothing, the way they moved, and the direction they had gone. Though the details were vague, Miguel listened attentively, noting every piece of information that could help in the search. "Even small details can help," Miguel said. "We may not know exactly who they were, but we can follow the paths and see if there are clues left behind." "We must also be careful. We don't know if they might still be nearby," Nayeli nodded. "I understand. I don't want to encounter them again, but I need my belongings. They are important to me." After breakfast, Miguel prepared a small pack with some food, water, and a few supplies. He handed it to Nayeli. "Take this with you. It will help if the journey is longer than expected." She accepted it with gratitude. "Thank you. I feel ready now with your help." They set out toward the hills where Nayeli had first been attacked. The morning air was cool and fresh, and the sun warmed the path as they walked. Miguel led the way, his knowledge of the terrain ensuring that they avoided dangerous areas. Nayeli followed closely, her confidence growing with each step. As they walked, Miguel asked her to recall everything she could about the morning of the theft. Nayeli concentrated, thinking back carefully. "I remember. I was walking along a narrow trail," she said. "There were rocks on the sides and I had to be careful where I stepped. They came from behind some bushes. I didn't see their faces clearly, but I think there were two of them. They moved quickly and didn't seem to expect me to run." Miguel nodded. "Good. That gives us a place to start. Let's check that trail carefully. We may find tracks or other signs." The path was narrow and winding, surrounded by tall grass and scattered bushes. Miguel and Nayeli moved slowly, scanning the ground for footprints or disturbed vegetation. They spotted several marks in the dirt, footprints that were fresh but hard to identify precisely. Miguel knelt down to examine them. "These could belong to them," he said. "We'll follow them carefully, but we must stay alert. They may still be in the area." Nayeli's heart pounded, but she felt safer with Miguel guiding her. "I'm ready," she said quietly. "I don't want to leave anything behind." As they continued along the path, the terrain became rougher, with rocks and tree roots making footing tricky. Miguel helped Nayeli over difficult spots, and she began to trust his guidance completely. The hills stretched before them, and the higher they climbed, the wider the view of the surrounding land. Nayeli could see the lake in the distance, now peaceful and calm, a stark contrast to the fear she had experienced there. After several hours of careful searching, they discovered more signs, scratches on the rocks, remnants of a small bag, and marks in the dirt suggesting someone had been there recently. Nayeli's hope grew with each clue. "It looks like we are on the right track," she said, a small smile forming on her face. Miguel nodded. "Yes, but we must remain cautious. They may have moved further along. We will follow these signs slowly." They continued for some time, navigating the hills carefully. Miguel taught Nayeli how to observe subtle signs in the environment, broken branches, footprints, and disturbed soil, that could indicate where people had passed. Nayeli was fascinated and attentive, learning quickly. She realized that surviving in the wild required not just courage, but also careful observation and patience. By midday, they reached a small clearing with a shallow stream. They stopped to rest and drink water. Nayeli sat on a large rock looking thoughtful. "I never imagined I would be tracking my own belongings like this," she said softly. "It feels strange but also empowering. I am not completely helpless anymore." Miguel smiled. "You've come a long way already. The important thing is to stay calm and observant. We will find what we can, but safety always comes first." After their short break, they resumed the search. Following the trail carefully, they found more evidence. A torn piece of fabric caught on a bush and some footprints leading toward a wooded area. Nayeli's excitement grew. "I think we are very close," she whispered. Miguel nodded, his expression serious. "Possibly, but this area is denser and it's harder to see. We need to be careful and move slowly." They entered the wooded area, the sunlight filtering through the leaves in patterns on the ground. The sounds of birds and rustling leaves surrounded them, but the tension was high. Every sound could indicate something unexpected. Nayeli's hands trembled slightly, but Miguel reassured her with a calm voice. "Stay close to me. We will move carefully." As they walked deeper into the woods, they finally found a small clearing where a few of Nayeli's belongings had been discarded. Her heart leapt. "There it is," she exclaimed softly, rushing forward to pick up the items. Her clothes, a bag, and a few personal things were there, slightly dirty but intact. Relief washed over her. Miguel watched her, smiling. "Good, you found them. That's the important part." "You stayed calm and observant, and it paid off." Nayeli looked at him, eyes wide with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for guiding me and helping me stay safe." Miguel shrugged modestly. "I only helped. You were the one who remembered and stayed focused. That's what matters." After carefully collecting all her belongings, they began the walk back to the ranch. Nayeli carried her bag, now feeling lighter than before. The sun was beginning its descent, casting long shadows across the hills. The journey back was calm, and Nayeli's confidence had grown immensely. She realized that fear could be overcome with careful thought, courage, and help from someone trustworthy. As they reached the edge of the ranch, Miguel and Nayeli paused to look back at the hills they had traversed. Nayeli felt a mixture of relief, pride, and gratitude. The morning of terror by the lake seemed like a distant memory now, replaced by the satisfaction of recovery and the support she had received. Back at the ranch, Miguel helped Nayeli clean her belongings and ensured she had everything she needed. The house was warm and welcoming, and Nayeli finally felt completely safe. She could not help but smile, thinking about how one person's kindness had turned a frightening situation into a story of resilience and trust. Later that evening, as they sat outside on the porch watching the sun set, Nayeli reflected on the events of the day. "I never thought I would recover my things or feel safe again so quickly," she said. "But you helped me. You showed me that even in frightening times, kindness and guidance can make all the difference." Miguel nodded. "It's not always easy, but helping someone in need is always worth it. You've shown courage and determination, and that made my job easier." Together, we made it through safely. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Nayeli felt a sense of peace she had not experienced in hours. The lake, the hills, and the fear that had gripped her that morning were behind her. In their place were safety, hope, and a newfound trust in people. As night fell, Nayeli prepared for rest, her belongings now safe and intact. Miguel made sure the doors were locked and everything was secure. The ranch, once a place of routine work, had become a sanctuary, a place where kindness, trust, and human connection had created safety and comfort. For Nayeli, the journey had been frightening, but it had also taught her valuable lessons about courage, observation, and the importance of trust. She knew that she would never forget the events of the day, and she would carry the memory of Miguel's help with her forever. And as she drifted to sleep that night, she realized that even the most difficult experiences could be overcome when someone stepped forward to offer guidance, safety, and support. The next morning, Nayeli woke feeling peaceful and refreshed. The sun streamed through the window, filling the room with warmth. For the first time since the frightening morning by the lake, she felt completely at ease. She stretched, careful not to disturb the neatly folded blanket, and thought about how far she had come. What had started as a day filled with fear had turned into a journey of resilience, learning, and trust. Miguel was already outside tending to the animals. The soft lowing of cows and the gentle clucking of chickens created a calm, familiar rhythm. Nayeli dressed quickly in her recovered clothes and stepped outside. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying the scent of hay and the earthy smell of the fields. Miguel noticed her and smiled warmly. "Good morning," he said. "You look well rested." "Yes," Nayeli replied. I feel much better. Thank you for everything. I don't know how I can ever repay you. Miguel shook his head. You don't need to repay me. Helping someone in need is enough. Seeing you safe and strong is reward enough. Nayeli smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. She realized that what Miguel had given her, protection, guidance, and reassurance, was far more valuable than any material reward. It had restored her confidence and helped her regain control over her own life. After a simple breakfast, they sat together on the porch, watching the ranch come alive in the morning light. Miguel suggested they take a short walk around the property. Nayeli agreed, eager to experience the calm and beauty of the land around her. They moved slowly, observing the fields, the animals, and the small gardens that provided food for the household. Nayeli felt a sense of peace she had not known in days. As they walked, Miguel asked about Nayeli's plans once she returned to her village. She thought carefully before answering. I want to go back home and tell my family what happened. I also want to share what I've learned about being cautious and trusting the right people. Today taught me that courage and observation are important, but kindness and help from others are just as valuable. Miguel nodded. That is very wise. You have experienced a lot, but you have also learned valuable lessons. Remember them, and they will guide you in the future. Nayeli looked thoughtful. I will, and I will never forget how you helped me. You showed me that even in the hardest moments, people can care for each other. They continued walking, and Nayeli began to speak about her village, her family, and the traditions she cherished. Miguel listened with interest, appreciating her knowledge and her connection to the land. He realized that although they had come together by chance, they had formed a meaningful bond based on trust, respect, and shared experience. By midday, they returned to the house. Miguel suggested they take a short break before preparing for Nayeli's journey home. She agreed, feeling both grateful for the time she had spent at the ranch and a little anxious about returning to her village after the recent ordeal. During the break, Miguel gave Nayeli some advice for the journey. Stay alert, but don't be afraid, he said. Trust your instincts and the knowledge you've gained about the land. And remember, the people in your village will be there to help once you return. You are stronger than you realize. Nayeli listened carefully, feeling a mixture of nervousness and confidence. She had faced fear and uncertainty before, but she now knew she could handle challenges with courage and thoughtfulness. I will, she said firmly. Thank you for teaching me that. After the break, they began preparing for the journey. Miguel packed some supplies for Nayeli, food, water, and a few essential items, ensuring she would have everything she needed. Nayeli carefully checked her recovered belongings, making sure everything was in order. She felt a sense of relief and satisfaction, knowing that the morning's fear and uncertainty had been replaced with control and preparedness. Before leaving, Nayeli turned to Miguel. I don't know how to thank you enough, she said softly. You gave me safety, guidance, and hope. I will never forget it. Miguel smiled gently. You've done most of the work yourself. You stayed calm, observed carefully, and made the right choices. I just helped you along the way, but I am glad you feel safe now. Nayeli nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it with thoughtfulness and support. Miguel had shown her that kindness could make a tremendous difference, and she would carry that lesson with her forever. They set out toward the path that would lead her back to her village. The morning air was bright and filled with the sounds of nature. Birds sang in the trees, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Nayeli walked confidently, carrying her belongings and guided by Miguel's advice. She felt a newfound strength within herself, a quiet assurance that she could navigate challenges safely. As they reached the edge of the ranch, Miguel stopped. This is where I must leave you, he said. From here, you know the way home. Remember what we talked about, stay alert, trust your instincts, and don't hesitate to seek help if you need it. Nayeli felt a mixture of gratitude and sadness. She had grown to trust Miguel and the sanctuary he had provided, and leaving felt like stepping into uncertainty again. "I will," she said firmly, "and I will never forget your kindness. I hope one day I can repay it even in small ways." Miguel smiled. "That is more than enough. Just remember the lessons and carry them forward. That is the best way to honor what has happened." They shook hands, a simple gesture that held deep meaning. Nayeli took a deep breath, feeling the cool morning air fill her lungs, and began walking toward her village. Miguel watched her go, a sense of pride and quiet satisfaction filling him. He knew she was capable, resourceful, and strong, and he trusted that she would continue to thrive. As Nayeli walked, she reflected on the events of the past day and the lessons she had learned. She had faced fear and danger, but she had also experienced compassion, guidance, and safety. She realized that even in the darkest moments, human kindness could shine through and make all the difference. Along the path, Nayeli noticed the familiar landmarks she had passed earlier: small hills, trees, and streams. Each step reminded her of the journey she had undertaken and the courage she had shown. She felt a sense of accomplishment and confidence, knowing that she had faced the challenges of the morning and come through stronger. By the time she reached the outskirts of her village, the sun was high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the familiar landscape. Nayeli saw the familiar houses, the fields, and the people going about their daily lives. Relief and happiness filled her heart. She had returned safely, her belongings recovered, and her spirit renewed. Her family and neighbors noticed her arrival and rushed to greet her. They asked questions, concerned for her safety, and she shared her story: the fear by the lake, the help she had received from Miguel, and the recovery of her belongings. Her family expressed relief and gratitude, amazed by her bravery and resourcefulness. Nayeli felt proud of herself, but also deeply grateful to Miguel. Without his guidance and support, she knew the outcome could have been very different. She realized that courage and preparation were important, but having someone trustworthy to guide and protect her had made all the difference. As the day progressed, Nayeli began to settle back into her routine, but the lessons she had learned remained with her. She had discovered her own strength, the value of careful observation, and the power of kindness. She knew that she would carry these lessons forward, not only in her own life, but also in the way she interacted with others. That evening, as the village settled and the sun dipped below the horizon, Nayeli reflected on the journey. The fear and uncertainty she had faced by the lake had been transformed into courage, trust, and gratitude. She thought of Miguel and the ranch, a place that had become a sanctuary and a symbol of human compassion. She realized that sometimes the most difficult experiences could lead to the greatest growth. Fear could teach resilience, danger could teach awareness, and kindness could restore faith in humanity. Nayeli understood that her journey had been more than a physical recovery. It had been a journey of the heart and mind, a lesson in courage, trust, and gratitude. As she prepared for bed that night, Nayeli felt a quiet sense of peace. She had faced her fears, recovered her belongings, and returned to the safety of her village. But more importantly, she had learned the value of human connection and the power of compassion. She knew that the memory of Miguel's help and the lessons she had learned would remain with her forever. And so, the story ended not with fear, but with hope and strength. Nayeli had survived, learned, and grown. She had faced adversity and found courage, and she had discovered that kindness could shine even in the darkest moments. For Miguel, the ranch returned to its routine, but he carried with him the quiet satisfaction of having made a difference in someone's life. And for Nayeli, the journey by the lake became a story of courage, resilience, and human kindness, a story she would tell for years to come, reminding herself and others that help, hope, and trust could always be found when needed most.